Hello everyone, today's video is a part 2 of all the women that are currently on death row in the US. Let's start with Celeste Carrington, 28 years on death row in the state of California. Victor Esparza, a 34-year-old janitor at a shoe factory in San Carlos, and Caroline Gleason, a 36-year-old property manager at a real estate agency in Palo Alto, both died after being shot by Carrington in separate robberies 2 months apart, according to authorities. She shot and injured Redwood City pediatrician Alan Marks during a heist in his office 5 days after killing Gleason. Carrington was fired from her work as a janitor in December 1991 for stealing checks, despite the fact that she had no prior criminal history at the time of the murders. According to defense testimony, Carrington was raised in a poor household in Philadelphia, subjected to parental abuse, and became pregnant at the age of 14 by her father. After graduating, she competed internationally in the shot put while starring in track and field at a community college in Southern California. Cynthia Coffman, 33 years on death row in the state of California. Coffman was found guilty of 5 murders and has spent the last 2 decades on California's execution row. According to court records, she and her partner James Marlowe committed multiple crimes across several states, leaving a trail of dead bodies in their wake. Coffman did confess to killing 4 people to the police and ultimately to the jury, but she argued that James Marlowe's power over her was what caused these horrific deeds. She was found guilty of committing another murder in a 1992 trial, and as a result, she was also given a life sentence. She was born in Missouri, St. Louis. She was raised by her mother after her father abandoned the family. At one time, Kaufman's mother tried to give her and her brothers away. She got married at age 18 and gave birth to a child, but the union did not last. With a friend, she relocated to Arizona, where she later met Marlowe soon after he was released from prison. Kerry Lyn Dalton, 27 years on death row in the state of California. Irene Melanie May was tortured and killed in 1988 in San Diego County, California by Dalton, who believed May had stolen her jewelry. She was accused of using a cast iron frying pan, a knife, and a syringe filled with battery acid to commit a torture murder with 3 other people: Mark Lee Tompkins, Cheryl Ann Baker, and another guy only known as George. The trial and the conviction have been the subject of many discussions regarding the legitimacy of the charges, since a body has never been found and there is no actual record of Dalton confessing to the crime. The prosecution has been accused of presenting hearsay as plain evidence to the jury. Dalton remains on death row for the time being, and her sister is fighting to change this. Susan Eubanks, 26 years on death row in the state of California. Eubanks killed her 4 sons: Brandon, 14 years old, Austin, 7 years old, Brigham, 6 years old, and Matthew, 4 years old, on October 26, 1999. All of the boys were shot in the head, and she then shot herself in the stomach but survived. At the time of the crimes, Eubanks' 5-year-old nephew was also in the house, but he was discovered uninjured. The prosecution claimed that Eubanks had killed her sons out of pure rage. This rage was supposedly a reaction to her resentment at their fathers and her boyfriend for choosing to break up with her. It was alleged that she wanted the dads to understand the sorrow of losing someone they had loved, and that she felt the urge to seek some kind of retribution for the failed relationships. The defense argued that the killings happened as a result of the defendant blacking out, and that because of this weakened mental state, she was not in control of her conduct. It was said that she turned into a robot and did what she believed would make her anguish go away after spending the day drinking, using prescription medicines, and dealing with recent domestic conflict and past heartbreak. Veronica Gonzales, 24 years on death row in the state of California. In July 1998, Gonzales received a death sentence for killing her niece Jenny. The youngster was dunked in a bathtub of boiling hot water until the skin peeled off her body. This caused her severe burns. Veronica and her husband Ivan did not call the authorities for several hours, even if they knew the injuries were very serious. The investigation that followed showed that the burning was merely the latest instance of what Associate Justice Carol Corrigan described as a sustained and diversified sequence of abuse, with testimony so detailed that it terrified jurors and investigators long after the trial ended. The 2-bedroom Chula Vista apartment where the couple lived had transformed into a house of horrors for the child. She was chained and hung from a bar inside the closet for hours at a time while being repeatedly beaten and burned with a blow dryer on her face and upper body. When her own mother left for a drug recovery center, she moved in with the methamphetamine-dependent couple who had 6 children of their own. The death penalty was also imposed on Ivan Gonzales. The two are the first married couple in California history to receive a death sentence. Before we go to the next one, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. It helps me very much in the YouTube algorithm. Jessica Hann, 9 years on death row in the state of California. The state of California sentenced Jessica Marie Hann, formerly known as Jason Hann, to death for the deaths of his infant son and daughter, as well as the attempted murder of another child. According to court records, Jason beat his 2-month-old son to death and his 10-month-old daughter as well. After Hann failed to pay the rent, the body of the little girl was found in a storage container. Authorities would find a third baby displaying signs of abuse when they sought to detain Jessica Marie Hann, or Jason Hann, and his common-law wife, Kerry Lyn Dalton, the mother of the 2 children. Kerry would be judged responsible for her daughter's death and given a 15-year prison term. Lorraine Hunter, 5 years on death row in the state of California. Hunter killed her husband Albert Thomas in 2009 so she could benefit from his life insurance policy. Her daughter, Brianna Hunter, 15 at the time, admitted to have helped Lorraine with the plan. On November 3, 2009, Thomas and his wife left their apartment and made their way to his big rig so that he could get a sweater for his stepdaughter Brianna. The 3 of them got into his truck, and as Lorraine and her daughter sat in the front seat, Thomas snuck into the back sleeper compartment to find the shirt. The victim was shot twice in the upper back as he knelt in the compartment by Lorraine Hunter after she produced a small caliber handgun that she had stolen from a member of her church. He was discovered dead in a kneeling position by sheriff's deputies. Hunter and her daughter managed to escape the scene with the assistance of a relative, and the case remained unsolved for 2 years until the same relative came clean to detectives after she was herself jailed for an unrelated crime. Cherie Lash-Rhoades, 6 years on death row in the state of California. According to police accounts, Lash-Rhoades started shooting at a Cedarville Rancheria office building. Cherie Rhoades seemed angry about her recent employment termination and ongoing fraud investigation. 4 people, including Rhodes's brother, niece, and nephew, were shot and killed by her. She tried to murder even more people, but she ran out of ammo. A witness was able to escape the office, according to the authorities, and ran covered in blood to the Alturas police station where they raised the alarm. Cherie Lash-Rhoades was reportedly running with a knife in her hands outside the premises when police arrived, but she was immediately brought under control. Cherie was the chairwoman of the Cedarville Rancheria, and at the time of the murders, she and her son were also being evicted from a tribal house unit, which added to her other stressors. Belinda Magana, 8 years on death row in the state of California. Magana and her boyfriend Naresh Nareen were charged for the death of her toddler son Malachi, who was scalded and then beaten for days before passing away from his injuries. As the pair was afraid of getting in trouble, they decided not to call the authorities, and instead Magana applied ointment. Because this did not help, the little boy was constantly crying and complaining, and both Magana and her partner hit the child multiple times for being so noisy. Magana claimed that the accident occurred when she and her other 4-year-old son were at the grocery store. Naresh, however, tried to blame the 4-year-old for turning on the heated water. According to experts, Malachi's death was caused by complications from the searing burn wounds as well as a blunt force trauma to the head. After driving to a party in Apple Valley, Belinda and Nareen buried the body the following day in San Bernardino County close to Little Creek. Valerie Dee Martin, 13 years on death row in the state of California. Martin is currently on death row after killing an elderly man. Police records state that Valerie Dee Martin, her 16-year-old son, his 14-year-old buddy, and an ex-offender intended to murder an elderly man who would be discovered dead in a car trunk with extensive burns and other injuries as well. It is alleged that Valerie Martin was a member of the white supremacy movement and was friends with Donovan Casey, Bradley Zoda, Christopher Kennedy, and Stuart Smith. Additionally, it is said that everyone in her immediate social circle used methamphetamine. That was it for today, guys. I'll post part 3 on Monday. Until then, go check out this video on the screen about Malcolm Alexander. He was wrongfully convicted and spent 38 years behind bars. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.